Okay, so I've noticed something. I'm a sticker for perfection. So sometimes I have a way I want to do things in a certain way, like organize things a certain way. But sometimes I feel like it's sort of like a disservice, especially if I want to like share information. So I've decided any information that's not like following my curriculum that I am following. I'll be using the stories and sharing exactly what I'm called to share, Now, today I've been journaling and I've told you guys so many times about how when I'm journaling, I download information. I know someone out there knows what I'm talking about. Like when you start to write, there's information that you just get and you start to write about it. So I want to tell you like one of the messages I got. Yeah. Okay, just for context, the way it works, and this is randomly what I think. Personally, I'm a clairaudient. Now, these are intuitive gifts or what they call like psychic gifts. So there are people who are like visual, so they're clairvoyant. There are people who are more audio, like they hear stuff, so they're clairaudient. And there are like so many other psychic gifts that we have, empaths, blah blah blah, all those things. Just research about that. So personally, I'm a clairaudient. So when I'm writing, I can also hear information that is not necessarily from me or from like what I've accumulated, knowledge I've accumulated over time or anything, but like I can hear clearly that there's a third party in my day-to-day thinking. I know it's crazy, but it happens. More context. More context. So these are like conversations happening. You know how when you're thinking and you're like it's like you speak and you get an answer, but then you're having a conversation. It's like internal dialogue. Sometimes that's what happens. And I can clearly tell when it's me questioning and when it's not me questioning, or when it's me answering or when it's not me answering. So you can sort of like know when you need an answer or something like that. So for today's dialogue, I'm journaling. I don't really control what I write, but this time around I'm like, hey beautiful, which is weird because I rarely write that. So I'm curious and I say, it's been long since you used that. What's the occasion today? Yeah, hope you're following, don't get lost. So I'm gonna now tell you, the back and forth conversation or dialogue that we had. Yep. Answer, I'm continuing. Yeah, so the answer was I just felt that you were deserving of it. Then I write, there are times when I am not deserving of it. Then the answer is, yes my girl, remember you only get what you deserve. This means you need to be deserving of what you desire. So I said, okay, how can I learn to be deserving? How do I even know if I'm deserving of something or not? And then I also ask, isn't desiring it enough? Like, if I desire it, doesn't it mean that I'm deserving of it? So this is me answering, and this is the answer. No. Desiring something and deserving of it are two different things. Now at that point I'd ordered for like an Uber, so I wrote, please hold on, my car is 1 minute away, I need to know the difference, let's talk when I come back. My way I'm thinking about this, I'm trying to figure out the difference between deserving and desiring, and so I'd gone for dinner, I'd moved out, so I get to where I was going, and then I start to write somewhere in a different book because my journal is kind of big, so it can't fit in my small bag. So I write, and this was the answer, that when you desire, you want. When you deserve, you have. More confusing, right? So I'm like, yo, you're not helping me because this is more confusing. But when I get back home, I get onto my laptop and I start to Google the definition of the word deserving. And it basically says being worthy of something, often based on merit, actions, or qualities. It also goes ahead to say that someone or something that has earned recognition, reward. Mark that, right? Because I'm going to tell you what I thought next. Okay, so at that point, I'm thinking, but sometimes when you feel you deserve, it comes off, in my mind, I'm like, that comes off like entitlement. Like you deserve something, so you feel like you are entitled. And from my experience with these internal dialogues, or me speaking with, say, source or spirit or whatever it is, sometimes I joke that these are my ancestors I'm speaking with. It doesn't matter, guys. It's universal intelligence. You're going to tap into it one or the other. So sometimes I'm reminded always that, Brenda Lane, remember we've discussed this before, language is perception, not what you've been taught, like interpretation, definitions that is taught, but the actual way to use language as a tool of consciousness is in perception. That's what I've been told in these kind of like conversations that I keep having. So I then Google entitlement, the meaning. Yeah. So entitlement definition says feeling that you have the right to do or have what you want without having to work for it or deserve it, just because of who you are. Like you just feel like you have to have something or deserve it, or you have a right to do something or have it just because of who you are. But you know, it's not that you've earned it, so that you've worked for it. And so for me, that gave me a clear understanding of the difference. And then the next question that I got, again, internal dialogue. So the next question I get is, who taught you that to deserve is to be entitled? Because that means someone is telling you that you do not deserve, right? And that if you try to deserve, then you feel like you're entitled. But who taught you how to feel that way? Are you guys like getting where I'm going with this? Guys, like for me in that moment, I understood exactly what spirit was trying to tell me, because that question made me realize no one teaches us to deserve. No one is telling you that you are able to deserve, because all you've been told is if you deserve, you're entitled, right? You feel like you're deserving of, you're entitled. But look at it this way: if you don't know how to feel deserving of, then you don't know how to recognize and acknowledge when you deserve it, or when you've worked hard, when you've gotten that reward. Think of it this way: you work so hard at work, but you don't feel deserving of a salary increment or deserving of a promotion, right? Or think of it like in school, or you're working hard to better yourself, you're working hard, you're putting in all this effort, you're putting in all this work, but you've not been taught how to recognize and acknowledge that work. You've not been taught to be deserving of it, of the good in your life. So how can you have it? You only get what you deserve. Wrap it up, and in case you have like thoughts about this, please, like, let's talk about it. It took me back to what spirit answered, like when I asked what's the difference, and the answer was, when you desire, you want. So you know how we are always desiring, we always want things, but when you deserve, you have. So for me, it made me realize that I have to start acknowledging when I deserve something, and I have to teach myself to deserve it. Like if I've worked hard, if I've done a good job, if I've put in my best, I have to now teach myself the feeling of deserving of. Like I have to feel deserving of the reward of that effort that I've put in. That means I can now attract it. Now I can have what I desire. But me just desiring and wanting does not mean I am deserving of. I hope this helps someone.